Well, good morning, everyone. We'll try to make a start, please. Welcome to the Founding Partners Press Conference for the 11th edition of the Latin America Amateur Championship here at Lima Golf Club in Peru. My name is Mike Woodcock. I'm from the R&A, and I'll be moderating the press conference this morning. I would like to begin by introducing our panel. On the far left-hand side is Mr. Mike Juan, CEO of the United States Golf Association. In the centre is Mr. Martin Hattrell, Chairman of the R&A, and closest to me is Mr. Fred Ridley, Chairman of Augusta National and the Masters Tournament. We'll begin this morning with some opening remarks from Mr. Hattrell.
Muchas gracias, Mike. Y buenos días a todos. Es un placer para mí darles la bienvenida al Latin America Amateur Championship 2026. Creo que todos ustedes entenderán mi inglés, así que hablaré en inglés.
Gracias.
I would like to begin by passing on Mark Darbon's apologies that he's unable to be here this week. He had a tragedy in his wife's family and he has to be at home this week. I know he will be watching closely from back home, and he asked me to pass on his very best wishes to all involved in the championship. In developing this great championship, we at the R&A are fortunate to partner with two of the most respected golf organizations in the world, the USGA and the Masters Tournament. I'm proud to be joined on this stage by USGA CEO Mike Juan and Masters Chairman Fred Ridley. Since it was first played in 2015, the Latin America Amateur Championship has grown into one of the world's premier amateur events. This week we will again welcome the region's top male amateurs to compete for the title of Latin America Amateur Champion and its unparalleled life-changing rewards. As you know, that includes an invitation to the Masters Tournament and exemptions into the US Open and the Open. 108 players representing 29 different countries and territories will get that chance to compete for those exciting opportunities. But just as significant as the play on the course is the legacy that this championship and these players leave for the next generation of golfers. The collective goal of the founding partners is to help support and develop the sport and inspire greater participation throughout the region. We believe that goal is being achieved and are confident that the future of golf has never been stronger in Latin America. In fact, when comparing that first championship to today, there are some extremely encouraging trends. This year we've set a new LAC record with 9 of the top 100 amateurs in the world competing. That's certainly something to celebrate. We're excited to be making our long-awaited debut in Peru. I would like to recognize our tremendous host, Lima Golf Club, and this wonderful test of golf. I thank them for all their hard work and their colleagues at Golf Peru who have been incredibly supportive. Finally, I'm pleased to announce the venue for the 2027 Latin America Amateur Championship. Next year's championship will be played at Mayacoba's El Camaleon Golf Course in Mexico. We are delighted to return to Mayacoba, site of the 2020 Latin America Amateur, and are confident that David Lopez, the Director General at Mayacoba, who is with us today, and the entire team at Mayacoba and the Mexico Golf Federation will help us to deliver a memorable championship next year. I would like to thank you all again for being here and wish you the very best for a great week. I will now hand back over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Martin. We'll now take some questions. If you'd like to raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. First question? Yes.
To Chairman Ridley from CNN Chile, Federico Molina. Finalmente estamos acá en México, en Perú, luego de muchos intentos, luego del COVID. ¿Qué sensaciones tiene la organización de estar aquí finalmente?
We are finally here in Peru after trying to be here or many attempts to come to Peru. So what are your feelings about being finally here hosting this tournament in Peru?
Well, first, I'd like to say we're delighted to be here in Lima and at Lima Golf Club. You're correct. We've been trying to make this trip for some time, and unfortunately, COVID interfered. But we were committed when that happened to come back, and we're delighted to be here this year. I think it's important that in order to fulfill the mission of the Latin American Amateur Championship, that the championship does move around the region, and it's great that we're here in Peru for the first time. I also think it's important that, to the extent possible, that we select venues that have historic significance, and certainly Lima Golf Club, being over 100 years old, great history, great tradition, rich in tradition, certainly fits that bill. So, it's just great to be here in Lima. I took a tour of the club this morning, and I was just amazed at the breadth of activities that are offered, and certainly with the rich history, we're just delighted to be here. I did learn just today that our co-founder, Bobby Jones, made a trip to Lima Golf Club in 1946. And certainly in those days, that was a much greater effort than all of us made to get here this week. But we're proud to have that connection as well. So again, to repeat myself, we're just so happy to be here and just to see the enthusiasm of everyone in the region who've come to cover the tournament. And we thank all of you for being here. I think we have a record number of journalists here this week to cover the LAC. So thank you for that, and thanks for allowing us to be here in Lima.
Next question, Fernando in the front.
Yeah, Fernando from Golf Channel Latin America. I'll make a question regarding professional golf. Brooks Koepka news. I want to know, the whole group, if you got any reaction to that regarding the returning member program developed by the PGA Tour.
Shall I start?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you for your question. I think that is primarily a matter for the US PGA Tour and the player concerned, and there may be others. I'm sure that both parties are delighted to have reached agreement. So far as the Open Championship is concerned, I mean, we have pathways into the Open Championship from all the tours. So it doesn't really make a difference from the Open Championship's point of view, but we're pleased to see another great player who will be seen more often in great golf tournaments in the future, I think.
Yeah, I think likewise, we've seen Brooks at the U.S. Open the last few years, regardless of what tour he came from, he qualified. And we had this decision back in 2022. If you remember, the U.S. Open was the week after the first LIV event, and there was a question about what we would or wouldn't do. And we decided pretty quickly that if you qualified for the U.S. Open, we'll see you at the U.S. Open. And absolutely. I think that's been a good move for the game, good move from the players' perspective. And I think, like Martin, if this means the fans get to see the best in the world on a more regular basis, how can that be bad?
Well, like Martin and Mike, as a recent major champion, Brooks is eligible for an invitation to the Masters, and so we're happy about that. He's a great player, and recently was in serious contention on the last day. I would sort of reiterate what Mike just said, and that is, I think the golf in the game is always better if the best players in the world are playing at the same time in the same place. I think it's better for the fans. It's better for the history of the game, for the legacies that these players establish. And so I'm happy that one player in Brooks Koepka is back on the PGA Tour, and I hope that there'll be pathways for more players to all play in the same place.
Yeah, next question, Felix.
Hi, Felix Olivo from Dominican Republic, Listín Diario, Medios, Fiebre de Golf, and this is for Mr. Mike Wang. A few years ago, the USGA started to give sanctions to players, to amateur players, to their tournaments. Last year, the 2025 winner, Mark Hastings, was participating in 3 majors, and he was the low amateur on the Open Championship. It didn't make the cut, but he was the low amateur. So what are your thoughts about it in terms of this tournament?
Yeah, it's funny. I did an interview yesterday, and somebody said, "How do you know we're creating heroes at this event?" And I said, "Because when I was standing on the 18th green of Oakmont, and I took the low amateur medal out of the box and put it over Hastings' head. I mean, that if that's not creating heroes, I don't know what is." And I'm excited for him. I'm excited for what it means about this event. It was, I think, 2023 that we added a U.S. Open exemption, and so we've been watching it, and the play of LAC champions validates that choice, and him being our low amateur in 2025 at Oakmont only furthers that. So if I've got to believe that players both in this field and, more importantly, the young ones thinking about trying to get into this field someday are seeing that, and that's an important part of what this championship's all about.
Next question, Juan.
So a question for any of you, or the three of you. There's a good number of players here this week that started playing this event when they were 13, 14, 15 years old. And that was, for some of them, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So you can say that the LAC have seen them grow up, the LAC have seen them go to college. So I would like to get your thoughts on the impact on these young men of the event.
Well, I'd be happy to take a first shot at that. That certainly has been the case. I mentioned last night at the welcome reception that 79 of players in the field have played before, and we have one player that I think has played in all 11 championships. So that's something that's very special. If you look at sort of just what some of these players have done after they've graduated into the professional ranks. Certainly Joaquin Niemann is sort of the lead player, but also joined by, I believe, Sebastian Munoz and Nico Echeverria, who all three have won on the PGA Tour. And then we also have some tremendous progress that are coming out of just the first Latin American Amateur Championship Academy that was held at Casa de Campo this year. We have nine of the 12 players who participate in that are playing this week here at Lima Golf Club. And when I left a meeting to come to this press conference, Andres Benedetti from Venezuela was tied for first, who was at that academy. So I don't know how you could better validate the importance of that. So we've been very pleased with the progress of this championship and really satisfying the mission to not only to allow more players to graduate to the next level, as demonstrated by their success on professional tours, but also what's happened with these young men going back to their home countries and the enthusiasm and the passion that they leave this tournament with to take back home, I think is really making a difference. So thank you for that question.
Okay, well, next question in the front.
Hi, my question is for Mr. Fred. Right, Augusta continues to grow and open opportunities for more players to reach the Masters through major national events such as the Spanish Open or others. Are there opportunities to open more pathways for Latin America to qualify for the Masters?
Well, as you know, you're referring to the announcement we made this year. There were 6 what we would call sort of historic national championships around the world that we felt were important, and to have an opportunity to play in the Masters, and so we are now inviting those champions, and we're always looking for new pathways into the Masters tournament. We have a rich history of players from Latin America who have done very, very well, and I would say that we have a thorough review of our criteria every year. We, as you know, we're an invitational, so we're not really bound by categories, although we do have categories, but they change from time to time, and it's something that we will always look at. And so we really like what we see coming out of Latin America, and that's something we certainly can look at in the future.
Right here, Billy Pineda from Panama. Acaba de decir que nunca estuvo mejor el golf latinoamericano con la cantidad de clasificados en el ranking, en el top 100, con LAC Academy y todas estas iniciativas. ¿Dónde imagina que va a estar el golf latinoamericano cuando este torneo cumpla 20 años?
You just mentioned that you had a strong field this year, that you have 9 players from the top 100 in the rankings playing this week. How do you imagine the Latin American Amateur Championship in 10 or 20 more years?
I'm happy to. Well, first off, highest world amateur golf rankings in our LAC history. And we're getting used to saying that because I feel like we eclipse that every year. So the first thing you can see is just the strength of the field getting stronger and stronger. There's no doubt that there's younger athletes from these countries, as the chairman talked about, even within our own LAC Academy, that are striving to make it to this level. So, I mean, that level of talent's just getting higher and higher. I think you can see from the bags that line up here before they turn into their country bag, all the different colleges that are on that, in terms of the pathway to D1 scholarships through this both region and this event is pretty strong. The number of coaches who come down here. So I think when you think about 10 years forward, just think about what's happened in the last 10 and what's kind of grown here. And I would say in terms of the what's kind of grown here, not really your question, but I feel like I need to say this because there's a lot of media in the room. If you write one name down this week and put it in one of your media postings, put Martin Ordonez down, the head of agronomy here at Lima Golf Club, because what they've staged for us here is really spectacular. And you can only imagine when we asked him to make the rough 3.5 inches and the greens really firm, how his members probably felt about him for the last 60 days. So if you see him, give him a hug on our behalf. But he's really built an incredible stage, and I think that's what we're really proud of. We're building bigger and bigger stages. We're seeing better and better athletes make it to those stages, and how those athletes are performing when they leave this championship, as we just talked about in Justin Hastings' case, is really pretty special. So I think the sky's the limit in terms of the upside. And I would say one other thing too. For those of you who didn't get to hear Chairman Ridley's comments last night, which were world class, by the way, he made a comment that one player this week is really going to change their career, but virtually every player this week is going to change their life. And I remember telling that to my wife last night. I think it goes for us too. This is a life-changing experience for a lot of us. Not just the players that are playing. So that's really what makes this special. When you think about the 10-year impact, this isn't impacting 108 athletes. This is impacting everybody around 108 athletes in 123, 127 countries, remind me, Casey, 127 countries watching this on TV. So this impact is so much larger than 4 days in Lima.
Okay, next question, John in the back.
Yes, John Suckler from ESPN. Chairman Wrigley, I've had the opportunity to be all part of the broadcast, all these tournaments. I remember 11 years ago in Buenos Aires, we were trying to help find Honduras. Honduras had no federation, there was no participants, and I was talking to them yesterday, and it's been 5 years that Honduras sends 2 players. So I would like your thoughts on helping the region, promoting, and maybe helping countries that would have never had golf right now represented internationally if it wasn't for this tournament. Gracias.
Well, John, first, let me thank you for the support that you have given this championship during its history, and to tell the story. And part of the really the magic, I think, of this championship are the stories, the stories that come out of it, and not only stories of success, but really human stories about these young people and what this means in their lives. And so you've been here with us every year, and we really appreciate it. But I think the Honduras example is wonderful, and we certainly hope there's more of those. And I think the more that we can sort of get the word out, have these young men go back home, and I saw just talking to probably a half dozen or so of the teams last night, and just seeing the gleam in their eye, and what this means to them is really, to Mike's point about there's one winner, but there's everybody in the field is going to be impacted by this. And so I think identifying those opportunities where we can be helpful in different countries, and we certainly hope that there are more Honduras examples in the future.
We have another question on the right hand side here, please.
Yes. Renata Campagnaro from Revista Fairway, Venezuela and Colombia. The question is for Mr. Mike Wang. How could the USGA, beyond this Latin America Amateur Championship, could have more influence in the region in order to influence more the amateur golf?
Yeah, so what I would say to you is the two of us, when we govern the business, we try to break it into regions so that we can all advance. And generally speaking, outside of Mexico, the RNA oversees the region. But when these two partners came to us and said, we're going to build a Latin American championship and try to make it as big as we can make it, it made all kind of sense for us, and obviously our connection to the region. So I think you've already seen us step further in. When we got started, we gave people an opportunity to reach a final stage qualifying for the amateur and the U.S. Open. If you jump forward to today, those are spots right in the U.S. Amateur and the U.S. Open. So as the championships evolved, so has our commitment to it as well. And seeing the upside is, I don't think there's any downside to us. And we're pretty excited, to be honest with you, to be home with Mexico next year as part of our great partner in the Mexican Golf Federation. And so yeah, I don't think don't let the U.S. and USGA bind you. We don't let it bind us.
Okay, we have time for one more question in the center here.
Okay, buen día para todos. Ángel Ochoa, del Diario 1, Lima, Perú. De su creación, el LAC ha sido definido algo así como un mayor de los aficionados y un generador de oportunidades para la región. Considerando que en una década ha logrado que al menos 17 de sus golfistas hayan jugado majors y generado casos de éxito profesional, ¿cómo planean los organizadores capitalizar este historial para acelerar el desarrollo estructural del golf en Latinoamérica?
Okay.
It's a long question.
Sorry.
I'm glad that was hard for you.
Okay, taking into account what you have done so far and how much you have progressed golf in the area, how do you think you can capitalize, take advantage of all you have done so far so as to keep on growing the game in the area?
Shall I have a first go? I mean, I think it's more of the same. We want to carry on having this championship at great venues. We're delighted to be here in Peru for the first time. The WALA has been here before, I know, but this is the first time for the Latin American Amateur Championship. And I think that you will see the inspirational effect of a championship like this in Peru, and we know that the effect is happening all through Latin America. So that we're going to just keep making this championship better and better each year, and I think it will have an inspirational effect and will grow golf throughout the region.
I hope you noticed the difference that's happened in the last 11 years. As Chairman Ridley talked about the LAC Academy and 9 of the 12 players playing here. That's a great example that what's going on here this week is really important, but it's a 52-week impact. And I think all three of us can speak to our own championships. We don't think of the U.S. Open impacting the game 4 days in June. But for the 52 weeks that lead up to it and people dreaming about it and trying to qualify for it, other championships that play into it. So I think the same is true here. This is evolving from an incredible week to an incredible culmination of 52 weeks.
What I would say to that is, and I think it's a great question, is this appropriate to be the last question, because it really is the definitive question, is so what's next? And while we don't know that, what I would say is that the USGA and the R&A have governed the game of golf for over 100 years, in the R&A's case longer than that. And their sole interest is what's best for the game. And we have recently been privileged to join them in that effort. We view ourselves as being supportive in any way that we can. And so I would just say that imagination is really a good word to answer this question. That is that there really shouldn't be any boundaries on what we might do. And certainly while this championship has been a great catalyst for growth in the region, we're looking for good ideas, and we're willing to listen to good ideas. And so I think I speak both for Martin and for Mike in saying that. And I think these two organizations have the history. You know, when you're trying to predict what might happen, it's a lot of times looking to the past is a good way to do it. And the USGA and the R&A have been doing this and doing what's good for the game of golf for many, many years. And we're just happy to be a partner in that. And so we're open to new ideas, but we're really happy and excited about what this championship's doing for the region.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley. That's an excellent note to finish on, and thank you to Nora for the translation there. Thank you, everyone, for coming along to the Founding Partners press conference. We hope you have a fantastic championship, and may the best player win. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.